to the cloud. All right, welcome back to the Real Estate Locker Room Show, folks. I'm your host, John Carney, and thank you again for taking the time out of your busy day to tune in to our podcast. I'm truly grateful for all you return listeners out there. Your support is what keeps me going, and it truly is inspirational that you're taking some of your time out, to learn more about the real estate game from our expert guests and hanging out with us in the Real Estate Locker Room. If this is your first time turning into the show, great big welcome. We got a great interview today with Cliff Hayden, and we're going to be talking about some tips on how to become a more efficient landlord. The goal here is to deliver everyone in the audience, all our listeners, actionable advice to help you elevate your real estate game today, to continue to raise the bar in your specific area of expertise. Whether you're an industry pro or you're sitting on the fence waiting to jump in the game yourself, this is the show that believes real estate is a team sport. And today is episode number 84 with Cliff Hayden. Welcome, Cliff.
Hey, John, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, super stoked to have you. Property management is definitely, the key ingredient, having the right person, the right team in place to look after your portfolio. Super important, and you've done some things, to help people streamline that. I'm super excited about hearing more about, showmetherental.com and your journey as a real estate entrepreneur. What led you to develop that platform and, your life as a real estate investor. But if you don't mind, let's stretch out here for a second. Okay. And, explore the intersection of competitive sports and competitive real estate. Are you ready?
I'm ready. I'm excited. This is cool.
Right on. First stretching question. Do you have a favorite athlete who's inspired you, whether it's playing sports or in business?
I do. So my favorite athlete is Emmitt Smith. All-time leading rusher, was a running back for the Dallas Cowboys back in the 90s when they were really good. So he inspired me because I'm still big into sports, and my oldest two play sports. But, he was a little guy. He was the underdog. He had to fight for everything he had, and his whole life, everybody told him he was too small, couldn't do it. And just his persistence and his drive kind of inspired me, because I was a little guy too when I played, and I was fast, but I was little, and everybody told me I was too small, same kind of situation. So I kind of looked up to him and what he was able to achieve with his career.
Emmitt Smith, the ball carrier. He's a real estate guy too now, isn't he, in his retirement?
He does a little bit of, I don't follow him too much like I used to, but I think he does a lot of different investments. I know he does tequila. He's got some different ventures he's in. He's got his fingers in.
Yeah, I mean, those successful, he's my era, and those successful athletes that transition, to another career successfully off the field is always pretty cool, to watch, especially, yes. They have all that drive and competitive nature. Probably age catches up, and then it's time to, put that energy into something else. So,
nobody can beat Father Time. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
Do you participate in any sports now? Is a dad?
I do jiu-jitsu now. So I've been into jiu-jitsu now for a little over 3 years. And so I really like it. So I was looking for something I got into it because I was a little overweight, and I was looking for something to exercise, and I was tired of basketball and going to the gym. And so a friend of mine, actually coached one of my kids' football teams, 3rd and 4th grade. And I came up from behind him and grabbed him, and he flipped me around and got me an arm bar real fast. And I was like, what the hell was that? And so after that, we kept talking, and he's been doing jiu-jitsu for around 8 years. And so he got me going to his gym, and I've been doing that now, and I love it. It's a great exercise, great sport, and just kind of it is a definitely stress reliever. And I tell everybody, when you're getting choked or arm barred or leg locked, you forget about all your other problems. You're just focused on that one thing. So it's a great release to get away from everything.
Right. Yep. I mean, I don't know. You only have so many. It's like you only have so many time for all the activities. That's something that I've heard would be sort of for everything you mentioned, right? It's It's good exercise. It's learning something new, but I also hear it's incredibly humbling, that first X amount of years and probably ongoing, right? You gotta
drop your ego. It was a big, about 6 months in, I had an ego check because I used to think I was pretty tough and I could handle myself. And you get in there with guys that are 130 pounds and they're they're just killing you, and you can't do anything about it. And then you really realize that, you're not that tough. And thankfully, when I was younger and we grew up in a kind of a poor neighborhood, thankfully I never fought anybody who knew how to fight, because it would have been a bad deal for me, because these guys really know what they're doing and can handle themselves, and very humble and the nicest guys I've ever met, for sure.
Yeah. I would never want to break anything if it was even close to ski season. Well, anyway.
That's
right.
Funny. That's right.
All right. Yeah. I'm getting a little bit older. It's getting a little bit harder to recover from all the niggles and stuff.
Yes, it does.
Well, let's talk about your success story. I mean, you started out, right, as a first real estate agent, into investing, and then you saw a need in the market to help the property management side of the house.
Uh-huh.
And why don't you just share the journey that you've been on and where you're going?
Great question, John. So I'm going to back up. Before I was a real estate agent, I had a real job. I worked for AT&T and did construction work. So I was an outside plant technician, which is a fancy word for construction worker. So I did that for 10 years and started doing real estate about year 5 of that. Started buying rentals while I was working a full-time job, kind of developed a rental portfolio, and then got to the point to where I thought I could quit my job. I really wanted to, but I was no college degree, just a high school graduate making really good money. And it was a big step to walk away from that job. And so I ended up making that step and ended up quitting my job, and did become a foreclosure agent, buyer's agent. In the meantime, I was buying a bunch of rental houses at that time. And then in 2008 and 9 is when all this was going on. And there was a real need for these foreclosures. The banks had nobody to fix them up. So they were looking for contractors to fix up these foreclosed properties. So I started a general contracting company in that time period and started fixing up a lot of bank houses around town. The big problem we had was I have a property manager, but when we had 2 or 3 empty rental houses, we could not keep up with the volume of calls and emails and just all the back and forth. We just couldn't do it. And so we developed Show Me the Rental out of necessity. So I would come home at night and, I'm married with 5 kids, by the way. And so that's chaos in itself. So I would come home and we'd be eating dinner and my phone's ringing, text messages, emails. I'm home, but I'm not really focused on dinner. I got so many other things going on. My wife's upset. Everybody's getting pissed off at me because I'm just nonstop moving. And so I try to develop a system, or I try to find a system that could handle this for me. And so that could advertise, that could generate leads, that could screen the leads, that could set up the showing appointments. And I couldn't find anything out there because I was wanting to just buy into a system and just use it to kind of get some of my time back. And so I couldn't find anything out there. And then I thought, I can't be the only person having this problem. So I can't be the only person that, it can take all these phone calls. You just get overwhelmed and listen to people's stories for 10 or 15 minutes at a time. And so we developed Show Me the Rental out of necessity for my business. And then once we got it up and going, we decided, a lot of people could probably benefit from this because it's a huge time saver. And it takes, we don't take any more phone calls or emails on empty rental houses. So that's kind of the short story of that, how that came about.
Well, yeah, you found you solved the classic entrepreneur, right? I mean, you solved a problem and then we're able to share that solution with everybody else who had the same pain. So, if is it specifically Show Me the Rental, good for single family homes, multifamily? Is it?
It's good for everything but commercial. So it's good for all that stuff. Yes.
All 50 states.
Yes. Hold on. I'm sorry. 1 second. I told my kids, give me 1 second. Oliver, no, go away, Bob. I'm on an interview. I need you to be quiet. You see the note on the door? I'm so sorry about that. Too many kiddos.
No, man, no worries.
I apologize. So it's for single families and it's a kind of a one-stop shop. So I tell everybody, kind of takes all the crap out of the management part of it because the biggest headache is screening leads. So you get so many leads coming in and a lot of them aren't worth your time. So we don't even deal with them anymore. So now it's all automated. We automate the whole part of it.
So what, like, to kind of, can I, if you don't mind, I'd like to expand on the
Yeah.
property management side of it. I mean, it's, you know, did you start out as a, well, I guess, let me ask most people, most investors start out managing their own portfolio until they get to a point where they can hire someone or they decide to outsource it. I'm just guessing you hired somebody and then you came up with this genius solution. But you know, as part of the property management side of your overall business, you know, what are some of the what's some of your best advice that you can put out there, you know, to the audience who, quite frankly, I think everybody has, you know, a keen ear and wants to hear something new, because it's a challenging business, and you know, that's where the money's made or lost.
That's a great question, John. So I look at it this way. Nobody is going to care about your properties more than you. And so I still am involved with the management side of the business. All I handle, though, is the money, make sure rents come in, do profit and losses. I got staff in place now that screen do the leases. I got a virtual assistant who sends out 7-day letters, the evictions, handles collections. But I'm still involved. I still make sure all the work orders are getting done. I see what's going on with the properties. I have weekly meetings with my staff to kind of see what's going on with everything. And we have agendas we set up that go over specific items that we had the week before to make sure everything's getting taken care of. And so I tried to hire a management service when I was getting real busy and didn't have enough time, but I never felt like they cared about it as much as I did. And we did silly repairs. They were doing silly repairs. They were paying a lot for this stuff. And so I kind of took it back over and have my thumb on it, but I have a great staff and a great team in place to handle everything. And I just kind of oversee it now.
So for the folks that are going at it alone, is there any one or two places where your solution with, like, talk about the time saved with Show Me the Money, and then maybe a couple other things that you're working on that you found? You mentioned the VA, you know, some of the tools that you have there in your, when you're wearing your property management company hat, that can really help benefit, you know, the single family and multifamily owners and operators out there.
And so I don't think there is a specific thing that happens. I know, talking to older investors and veteran investors, one thing is you got to decide what kind of business you want. And then everybody's business plan is going to be a little bit different, because I might like to do things that you don't like to do, and you may like to do things that I don't like to do. And so one of the big examples I use is I got advice from a guy from Baltimore, and when I was doing bank jobs, and he took a piece of paper and drew a line through it, and he wrote on one half of the paper, what do I like to do? He wrote on the other side of the paper, what I don't like to do. And he wrote down a list, and then he went out and hired somebody to do everything he didn't like to do. And he said, you know, this whole business to me is built around the big end game is your lifestyle. So you want to have a lifestyle that you enjoy. You want to do day-to-day activities that you enjoy. And you can get caught up in any business, and especially real estate. This could be a 24-hour day job if you let it take over. And so I think there's a balance there. And I think you really have to figure out what kind of lifestyle you want. Because for me, that was a game changer. In the beginning, I was all about money. I needed to have a lot of money. If I had all this money, my life was going to be easier. All my problems were going to go away. Well, I started making lots of money, and I had more problems. And I had bigger problems because I had family problems at home, which was the whole point of me making money, was to have a better life, especially from where I grew up. And so I think there's not one answer. I think there's 10,000 answers. And I think people need to sit down and take the time to kind of figure out their business plan, figure out what they really want to do, what they like to do and don't like to do, and really master that skill. And I think education's a key for all new people. I think education, finding a mentor or finding a senior investor who you can kind of talk to and bounce ideas off of and learn from their experience and their hard knock education. I think that's a big deal for people. I don't know if a lot of them take advantage of it, but I did a lot of that, and I still do.
Yeah, I mean, well, the phrase I like to repeat, I suppose, is that success leaves clues. And you know, you're going back to, you know, I think everyone gets so sucked in when you take your first step, away from a steady paycheck. And then it really is about a focus on, can I pay my bills? Can I pay my mortgage? Pay my rent? Right. If you're renting at the time, like, and I don't think anyone ever forgets that step. But you've brought up some great points that I don't know that I've chatted about in a while. So if we've got new subscribers, it's about why are you really doing this? Because and how do you set aside some time? There's always and everyone's different, which I like too. So what are some of the ways that you structure your week in a way that you said you have 5 children, that I've got 2, not as many children, but
if you want to borrow a couple, you let me know, John.
Yeah,
I got plenty to spare.
I want to spend time with them. I'm
Yeah.
grateful that in the situation I'm in, I get to drive them to school most days, almost every day.
Awesome.
Unless something does come up, and then my wife is happy to tag team and drive them to school. But I mean, so those are just some of the things that I feel very fortunate about, but made decisions along the way to make sure I could do that at this stage of the game. Like, so do you structure your week in a way, knowing that, you never know what's going to happen after 9 a.m., but knowing that you've got it blocked out? Or is there some good advice you have about making sure that you follow your dream, as opposed to taking the step into real estate investment and just being in worse shape than you were before?
And this is a great question. And again, I'm in a little different spot in my career than when I first started. So for me now, this is not what I did when I first started, but for me now, I kind of put life first. So I have, I make sure I go to the gym. I make sure I'm home by 3:00 every day to get the kids off the bus and help with their homework. We travel every summer. My wife works for a local high school, so we travel all summer in an RV and travel with the kids. And then we have date nights on Fridays. Right now it's Friday night football, so we don't have date nights. But I always make sure nowadays my family's taken care of first. And then what I've learned in my business, if I can literally wake up early in the morning, so I get up around 6:00. I have green tea. I do a little stretching, a little meditation. It takes me about 45 minutes, a half hour to 45 minutes, depending on what kind of mood I'm in. And then I literally go into my office for around an hour and a half to 2 hours, and I can get almost everything done. If I have no distractions, I turn off my phone. I don't let anybody bother me, and I just get work done. And then usually in the afternoon, I'll go to lunch with somebody, or I'll go check on houses. And I just have a little routine on, I almost want to say themes for the day. So Tuesdays today, I meet with my staff. This is my staff meetings. So we meet in the morning, starting at 9:30 and then 11. And then on Thursdays, I have a bookkeeper meeting. So Thursday's theme is bookkeeping and getting profit and loss statements, seeing where we're at with money. And I just kind of have, tomorrow, Wednesdays, we have our mastermind meeting in the morning. Have a little breakfast group, we get together. And so I just have things throughout the day, throughout the week, that I have set in stone. And then I have times where I know something's going to come up. And when I have some free time, I'll take a project I've been trying to work on or get going, and I'll bring it out and I'll start working on it. So I don't have anything set in stone besides my life, I guess my lifestyle, if that helps at all.
Oh, it does. It does help, because I think it's important to, put the knowledge. There's always something to be learned, right? And different people, at different spots along the way in real estate, experience a lot of the same, setbacks, and then, find a way around the obstacle, so to speak, and end up, in a position where, what we're really trying to do is have more time, I suppose, right? That's what we're all trying to do. So, I mean, you've given, you've definitely shared some good things with, I wanted to look at my calendar. We generally, would say that it's important to structure how you interact with your team, big on the team, on a weekly, and keep track of your numbers, right?
Yeah.
Like the accounting and the property managers. So, we kind of transition into, and all great advice, I think it was all great advice and a good way of looking at how do you get to where you want to be, and what does that look like? So thank you for sharing that. Are there any books? Are you a reader or a podcast listener or YouTube video watcher? Is there anyone that you consistently follow, or authors that you've read that you feel would benefit the audience?
I'm all of the above. So it just depends. I was more on podcasts and audiobooks, and now I've been, there's an old investor named Jack Miller. He's from back in the 70s, and a friend of mine gave me a bunch of his old books, and I've been reading those, and they're great books. So they're on closing the deal, on asset protection, how to structure deals. And so I like Jack Miller as of right now. As far as podcast interviews, I like Joe Rogan a lot. I really listen to Joe Rogan a lot. Tony Robbins. I've been starting to pick up. I didn't realize how many real estate podcasts there were out there because I'm new to the real estate podcast. So I'll pick one of those every once in a while and I'll just pop one in and just listen. But I just, I don't have anybody really in that I wholeheartedly listen to. I just kind of spread it out amongst a bunch of different people and kind of see different perspectives.
Yeah, I mean, like, well, thanks for sharing the new author with us. We haven't, he has not come up, but he'll definitely be posted in a Miller, right? Jeff Miller?
Jack Miller. Yeah,
Jack Miller, right?
Yeah, he's passed away now, but a lot of the old veterans in our town, they all knew him and did deals and stuff with him. But I think he's from Florida, but supposed to be super nice guy and very knowledgeable and wrote tons of books and very cool.
Awesome. Is there any if you were to give like the pro tip, something that you could action today in your business, what would that be?
I was thinking about just while we were talking, sports and new people and success. And what keeps popping in my head is I think for new people, I think you really got to pay attention to how you talk to yourself. So just like athletes, the supreme athletes, the elite ones, their mental, the way they talk to themselves, their subconscious, their mental thought is a big deal. So if you want to be successful, I think you have to talk to yourself in that way. So I think you kind of have to, looking back on it, have a vision of what you want your life to be, how you see yourself 10 years from now, how you see yourself 20 years from now, and kind of focus on the big goal and not so much on the today. I think that's a big deal for new people. I don't think it's so much of the money. I think you got to enjoy the journey. And I think you got to have your eye on the big prize, not just the day and making sure I'm going to pay my bills. I think that's part of it, but I think the big picture is what sets you apart from the rest of everybody else. And I don't know why that popped in my head, but you talking about athletes and Emmitt Smith and then just different people. I think that's the big deal is being mentally strong so you can, keep moving forward. I think that's a big key.
Yeah, well, I want to revisit, the sport you're part of. I mean, that's great advice. I mean, it really is something. It's a true gem because if you're not, I heard something like imposter syndrome. I might be wrong. I'm not a psychologist. I'm just repeating back what I've heard, what I heard on a podcast, right? So I mean, you're inevitably going to find yourself in a room with some people trying to maybe make a deal, close a deal, ask for money, ask for a lot of money. You're going to be out of your comfort zone. So you're in the right spot if you feel you're out of your comfort zone.
Exactly.
But, it's like, man, like, are they going to see through this? Right. I'm talking about you faked it till you made it and now you're kind of at that next level. But, I always just, getting a little bit uncomfortable is always good. So like
I 100% agree.
How do you talk to yourself when you get when you get on the mat with somebody, and you don't for the first time and you're expecting it to be right? Do you expect it to be a challenge? That to me, wrestlers have this type of mentality that only wrestlers can have.
It's a great question. And so the honest answer is that it just depends, just like anything else. So, I'm now a blue belt I'm a blue belt now. And so when I roll with higher ranked belts, I approach that role a little different because I know they have more skill. And so I'm paying attention a little bit more and trying to feel around a little bit more to make sure I don't get caught in a move or get caught in something for me being stupid. When I roll with higher belts, that's how I do it. But I also want to challenge them. So I'll push myself a little hard too, just so they get something out of the roll. Now, when I go with white belts or blue belts lower than me, then it's a little different mentality because I know they don't have that skill. So I know I can kind of, play with them a little bit and have some fun and work on moves that maybe I haven't mastered yet because they don't know any better. And so there's two different types of rolls depending on who I'm rolling with. And so that's kind of how I approach jiu-jitsu whenever I get on the mats.
So you got a plan. I guess
I
that's
look,
what it all boils down to. Have a
yeah,
plan.
and like Mike Tyson says, which I love, I tell this to my kids all the time because my two older boys are teenagers and they think they're tough, and they've never been in a fight in their life. And I said, everybody's got a plan until you get punched in the face, and that's what Mike Tyson says. So I kind of jujitsu is kind of the same way. You got a plan, and then you just always get that ringer in there, just like in real estate. You got a business plan, and you get a wrench thrown in there, and it drops. Everything changes. So jujitsu and life, it's all the same. It's all the ups and downs, and I think you just got to enjoy the journey. And from where I come from to where I am today, you put things in perspective. So I think that's a big deal too. So we all, in the big picture, we all are doing pretty good. Like we don't hurt for a whole lot. Most people in America. So I think putting that in perspective and just being grateful for what you have, and not worrying about so much what you don't have, I think is a big deal. I think that's it's a good perspective for everybody to have.
100% agree with you, Cliff, and really thanks for sharing all that. It's been fun hanging out. Where's the audience able to find you online if they want to learn more about what you're doing? Are you
Yeah, they can visit us. Showmetherental.com is a place to go. You can check it out, and it's got videos, tutorials, all that stuff on there. And then if they want to call me, I don't mind getting up my cell phone number. We do have an answering service. I will tell everybody, I call everybody back between usually 12 and 1 and 4 and 5 during the days. If I don't get to you that day, I try to get the next day. You can reach me anytime at 502-641-8781. And again, 502-641-8781. I've had a few people take me up on it. It's pretty neat. So I like helping people, and I don't think everything I do is right, but I like my plan and kind of how I set up my lifestyle and my retirement funds. And I'm big into tax-free investments right now. That's my new thing I've been working on a lot. So if any questions I can help you with or anything in general, I like talking to anybody.
Yeah, super cool, man. I'm really glad that we're able to make this happen. So there you have it, folks. I truly, truly hope that you picked up some actionable advice today from Cliff Hayden. I know that he's got me thinking, my hamster's running. Make sure to check out the Real Estate Locker Room Show on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play. We're on Spotify now. We're on iHeartRadio. And hit the subscribe button so that you never miss out on the pro tips from our inside experts here. Also on YouTube. That's new. We've gone digital.
Awesome.
With Zoom, in the video. So the mission here, as always, is to help you elevate your game and give you something that you can work on to improve that right now, right here today. If you like what we're all about, be grateful if you'd leave us a review. That's the online currency these days. It helps other like-minded individuals who are out there playing the real estate game find the show, and that keeps us going. So the post-game show notes and links to our episode with Cliff today, it's going to be John Carney Online /podcast. This is episode number 83. We'll definitely have links to Show Me the Rental, so it's super easy for you to connect with Cliff. And that's about it, man. I really want you to know that I'm super grateful that you're out there spreading the tools that you've built and talking about it, and you're available to help other people. That's super cool. So remember to stay focused on your goals, everybody. Have fun and stay in the game. And until next time, I'm your host, John Carney. Let's work hard, play hard, and raise the bar.
Great, John. That was very cool, man.
Have a great day, Cliff.
You too. Hey, I appreciate, sorry for the delay. I appreciate you taking time out and let me take care of my kiddos.
Yeah, no worries.
So if I can help you with anything, let me know.
For sure.
All right. Thanks, buddy. See you.
So I'm just stopping the recording. I'm new to
cool.
that.
So what'd you think?